welcome back to another Jeff Reviews for You. The video that you are seeing and audio that you are hearing are coming right from the Solium 360 tracking camera. You heard that right. When I move out of frame, that camera follows me. Isn't that sweet? You know what though? Enough talk. Let's get right into this review. We are going to get right into testing out these cameras. If you want to see the app setup and installation, we're going to have that towards the end of this video. I've been trying to film this spot for a little bit, but the birds in the local tree are just taking over. They are extra loud. Anyway, I really appreciate that this is a two-camera system that both communicate to the same home base. They also communicate with each other. So I have one camera here, and the other camera's on the other side of the house, and it does communicate from one way to the other. Plus, I really love the feature that not only are they Wi-Fi or wireless, they are solar powered. So that means if you keep this solar panel in the sun for just 3 hours a day, you'll never have to charge these cameras. That's a cool feature. Cross camera detection is actually pretty neat. So what we have here is the very first camera has me locked in. It's recording what I'm doing, it's recording what I'm saying, and it's following me to the point, well, it just can't follow me anymore. And guess what? The second camera actually picks me up and continues with the surveillance. This to me is a really neat feature because now you can have a greater visibility of what happens at your property. I thought it'd be pretty cool to take a look at some of the features on the app. So with the app pulled up right now, you see this button that says 360? Watch what this does. Now, I'm going to confirm that. I do have this in a temporary install on one of the posts in the front of my house, but check this out. It's actually doing a 360 photo of the area, not just using the pan and tilt up and down, but also including left to right. And you know what? It's actually pretty quick. Here it comes around. There we are again. Now it's going to continue on with the photo, and of course it'll return back to the regular base part. That is so cool.
I'm going to show you some more of the things on the app and really some of the important things. Right now we have the app pulled open right to the main screen. Can you see that we have both of our cameras right in view? And I can click on either one of these cameras and see what's happening in real time. Of course, we also have our home base, which is online, keeping all of our data safe and secure right here at my house on the included SD card. I'm going to click on one of the cameras just to open it up to show you a few more of the features on this app. So we're going to have this thing pull up. You can see it was really responsive, and I should say I live out in the country. The internet out here is not that great. So you saw that this popped up pretty quick. On the top right, you can see the settings gear. Let's click on that. Right in here, you can see we have access to everything in the camera, from the device information all the way down to our tracking information. I do have the human tracking on. You can see right here where it says opened. That's where if I have someone in view, it actually tracks them left to right. I can turn that off to make that a stationary camera or keep the tracking on to track it. I like having it track people. The last thing I want to show you on this app is the alarm feature. So we have our camera open. Let's click on this up arrow, and you can see where it says alarm. Well, let's hit that button and see what happens. It actually sets off an audible alarm that you can control.
It's just starting to rain right here, but I wanted to give you your 3 different options for night vision. One, there's full color when it uses all 6 of those LED lights. That's what I have right here in the middle. There is the black and white night vision. Of course, there's no night vision at all. I would love to hear from you. Which one do you think is the best? Let me know down in the comment section below. I will say the one utilizing the full color when you use all 6 lights does utilize the most amount of power for these cameras.
I want to talk a little bit about my usage experience over the past 3 or 4 weeks that I've been utilizing this camera system. First and foremost, let's talk about the solar charging. So I have 2 cameras set up almost in the exact same area, one with a solar panel and one without. As you can see from our app, the one on the top actually has a solar panel hooked to it, and you can see that little tiny thing to the right of the camera, and I'll circle it right here. That indicates solar panel, whereas the other camera is running on battery. What I want to do is I want to show you the different battery levels of these cameras. They've been utilized almost the same for the past few weeks, so let's check it out. We're going to click on settings. You can see that the one that's hooked up to the solar panel has 93% of its battery charge right now. I will say the last 4 or 5 days it's been pretty rainy, and so there's not been a whole lot of sun, but 93% is impressive. Let's go back to the other camera sitting right next to it. It's actually impressive that I've utilized this for almost a month, and I do use regular video. I check the video on a regular basis, and it has 51% battery. So you can see that that solar panel is key to this system, and I'm really excited to be able to show that they do work. I also want to show you the access that you have to your home base, right? So like I said, I've been utilizing these cameras for a little while, and so if we click events, it'll pop up, well, it just shows you the last week at a time. And every time you see a green dot, that has actual video footage stored onto your storage drive. Let me go back into the previous month. You can actually see where we installed it because that's where the first green dot starts. And if I click on any of these different days, it'll actually access the hard drive and pull up all the video that the cameras have taken during that time period. I really appreciate that level of storage. We have showed you how this camera system works. Now it's time to unbox it, officially set it up, and install it to our app. As per this video, this camera system retails for right around $240. You can see from the picture that we get two 360 pan and tilt cameras with solar panel and our very own home base. Let's open this up to take a closer look. Let's walk through what exactly that we have. We have two different solar panels, and I do appreciate that the cable that's attached to the solar panel is 10 feet long. So you can either choose to connect it directly to your camera or have it a bit of a distance away, just so it has sunlight to the camera and you don't have to have this camera in the direct sunlight itself. I appreciate that convenience. For my install, I'm actually going to hook up the solar panel to the camera, but I like the versatility. Then we have our two cameras, and of course they are 5 megapixel high definition camera with 360-degree tilt, and I love that because it actually can track people that are there at your property. That is very, very cool. Then of course there is our base, and this base actually has a 32 gigabyte internal card that is already included. That's going to store your videos. This base does work on the both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz network, so that's great because now you can use it on almost any Wi-Fi. That is very important. Of course, we do have some power cables and an Ethernet cable to plug your base right into your internet. If we take a look at our camera, we can actually see our lens right up here in the front. Of course, we do have a microphone. We have some white LED lights. There's our infrared LED lights, and there's also our motion sensor. These two might be lights for power and connectivity. We'll see that when we turn it on. If we look down here on the bottom, we actually have the spot where we can reset our camera and turn our camera on. Right down here, you can sort of see it. This is actually where you're going to plug in your solar panel, and we're actually going to do an initial charge right here in the studio. That's where our USB-C connector will be. Then, of course, we have the antennas, which communicates back to the home base, and you can see your footage. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pre-charge this before we do anything. That's the recommendation from the manufacturers. You pre-charge inside, and then the solar panel will keep it charged along the way. We're going to let that charge now, probably overnight, 8 to 10 hours or so. It's a typical charge that you need to get on these cameras, and I did try turning it on, but it doesn't appear to have any battery turned on, then turned immediately off. Okay, let's take a closer look at our solar panel. As you can see, this is one of these newer grooved solar panels, which is really supposed to give you a lot longer life than some of the earlier generation of solar panels. I appreciate that. This solar panel is 4.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Like I said earlier, you can either attach the solar panel about 10 feet away from the camera, or you can attach it right to the camera. This is actually the bracket that it's going to come to. So if you're going to attach it to the camera, you're going to want to make sure that you're attaching this right to the actual hardware, because the camera will slide into here. We are going to show that when it's time to install. I just wanted to show you that here. That brings us to our base, and I really do appreciate that they included this because now all of your video will get stored into one area. On the back right here, you can see there's our power supply. There's a USB where you can actually plug in your camera to charge early ahead of time. This little tiny slot down here is where your pre-installed memory card is. This is, of course, where you hook up your Ethernet cord directly to your router. This is a sync button, and we'll utilize that later. It's time to set up our camera system to the app. As you can see, I have the app pulled up. I've already entered my credentials. That's something I did off camera, but you can see that big green button in the middle. It says Add Device. Let's click on that. It is recommended to install the home base first. So we're going to click on the home base, and currently the only home base option is the SHB01. Let's click on that one. We are already connected to power. We are already connected to internet, so let's click next. Now it's telling us to turn the power button onto the camera, but I've already done that. The power button is right here on the bottom. You just click and hold. You actually might see this camera move from time to time. Let's hit next. Our current network setting, I didn't show this earlier. This is a mesh network that's plugged directly into our home base. It is the same one that I'm using for the app. Let's hit next. On the back of our device is the sync button, so let's click on that. We're going to hold it for 3 seconds. You can see that we are now blinking blue and it is beeping. Let's click on next. It was almost instantaneous and we have our device. So we're going to click on that. As you see, it's going through the steps to connect. And just like that, we've already booted up. And you can see that our cameras are already pre-installed to this home base, probably because it came in the same system, but man, that was quick and easy. Let's hit confirm. Now that we are connected to the app, I'm going to hook up one of these cameras to the solar panel system to run some tests. So we have our solar panel here. We're hooking it on the hardware, and you can just see that I'm putting this bolt that came with it just to tighten it down. Line it up and start spinning it in. What that does is it's going to hold that solar panel to the top of the mounting bracket, and so I can actually move this in any direction to where it gets the most sunlight, and once I get it there, I'm going to tighten it down. From there, you actually have 3 different points to where you're going to screw in the screws onto something that's secure. Now you can actually hook in your camera, and this just slides into the top groove. So what you can do is you're going to just slide this down. There's no real click. You just get it to the very end. There is a tie down screw spot right here, so no one can just walk away with your camera. I do recommend that you put your antennas up now, because once it's in place, you're not going to be able to get your antennas past the camera. We actually connect our USB-C solar panel right down through this rubber gasket part. You want to make sure that is open. Therefore, you can slide this piece through, and that's where you're going to get your weather-tight connection. So make sure that part is still intact. Let's see if I get a good picture of it, and slide it in. And you see how that made that connection? Now we're going to make sure the weather does not interfere with our solar charging. I'm actually going to go hook this up outside, and I'll show you what it looks like in a permanent install. Really appreciate that I do not have to have power out here, because we're going to be 100% on solar. That is a really convenient feature for me. I have this one installed on one side of the shed, and on the other side of the shed, I have my other camera, so I can have that full cross camera connection. Anyway, that was my full review of this Solium solar powered 360 camera. If this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day.